Grab your coffee and join me, Nicoa, for a caffeinated conversation about life. I'll be talking to people who have chosen to walk their own paths and, just like me, are creating a life by design. I hope it will give you the inspiration you need to do exactly the same. Jade, Beall, you are finally on my podcast. I am so happy and so honored that you said yes.
Yay! I'm so happy to be here.
Yay! Everybody, I gave you guys a heads up a while back when Jade was kind enough to say yes to being a guest on Coffee with Nicoa. And the day is finally here. I'm going to give you a bit of an overview and then share with you how she and I originally connected. So I don't even know if she remembers. Probably. Jade Beall is a mother, a self-love coach, a holistic massage healer, 25 plus years, however long, and a world-renowned photographer. Jade's photography style is truthful images of women to inspire feeling irreplaceably beautiful and good about one's body as a healing counterbalance to the AI filtered and photographed imagery of a single body shape and age that dominates mainstream media. I mean, that says so much. We are so struggling as women. And your work as a photographer has really been profound. Her work and books, The Bodies of Mothers and The Crone Body, which I happen to have a copy of right here, have been profound. They have touched millions of women's lives and garnered global attention from media outlets, including the BBC, the Today Show, the Huffington Post, and beyond. Jade's books and social media platforms feature truthful photos of women alongside their stories of their journey to build radical self-love in a world that profits off women believing that their bodies are flawed and a problem and never enough. Being human is often challenging, and our bodies are not the problem. Our bodies are sacred. We are beautiful. You are speaking my language, Jade. I wonder if I wish you could read your sentence at the bottom. Do you have access to your little bio real quick? I want you to read that. It is your quote. Yeah. And it means so much to me. And while you're looking for it, everybody, Jade is actually not only born in Tucson, raised in a small village in Mexico, but is currently based back in Tucson, Arizona, where she's raising her precious son.
That's right.
And although I think aren't you in the middle of moving or hoping to move soon?
I'm in the middle of moving. Yes. Oh. Selling my house and buying a new townhouse and the wildness of that ride. But I have my quote. I wrote this at a nude hot springs retreat before my son was born. It was so inspired. And I was a dance teacher, a facilitator at that retreat. And I wrote, I am here to be a facilitator for living heaven on earth. I'm here to support your waking dream. I'm here to stand in my authentic beauty and reflect your divine gorgeousness. I'm here to be a radiant reflection of life. I am life. You are life. All of this that we are and that we have is divine. All of this is magic. All of this just is.
Jade Beall, welcome to the podcast. That's Yay. So beautiful. Yay. And I'm assuming you recall that my name is in the back of your book.
Oh,
that's how we know each other.
Thank you.
People are like, what? So how did you go about this? So your photography work. So anybody who doesn't know, go quickly pause and go look at jadebeallphotography.com. Go to her Instagram account.
Jadebeall.com.
Jadebeall.com. Good catch. And look at the reference to her book, The Crone Body. And I opened it to the photo that introduced me to you. And this is a photo I've shared with my audience before and tagged you, of course. And it's a beautiful image of a man and woman, unclothed, a black man and a white woman who are in love. And it's going to make me cry. So when I saw this image, I remember thinking, I want to be loved like that. I crave to be loved like that. And what's beautiful about the image It's not only is that a true love image, but she isn't loving him in a masculine way. She is receiving his love. And I felt that, and I continue to feel that. And I just want you to know how much it moved me. And that's why I support you. And that's why I love you and the work you're doing. So tell us a little bit about how you came into this beautiful work.
Thank you, hon. And that particular photo, that's Jerry and Darwin, and they're so brave because I was looking for models that would allow me to share online, and nobody would until they came. And they kind of opened the door. Then other people started signing up. But they met in their 50s.
This is, I'm so optimistic now.
They met in their 50s, had this gorgeous love, and Darwin passed away a few years ago.
Oh.
And I'm still in contact with Jerry, and it's, you know, it's a beautiful love story. And Darwin was and is still, I feel his energy all the time he's a singer, and he loved Jerry, and Jerry lived her whole life feeling unlovable. And so like Darwin came in and just, they are. And I feel like we feel the energy of that because yes, the photo is lovely, but it's, you can feel the energy of them truly. And they're the real deal. They're the real deal.
And I want to give you credit, though, for pulling that from them in that safe moment. How did you create that safety?
I think it started with just being honest myself. You know, I didn't know them. Darwin was friends with, I guess, my parents back in the early 80s, but I don't remember Darwin. But they follow me online. They love my photography, and I feel like the way I've cultivated trust with both of the books that I've done, which are all volunteers, or I call them my muses, is because I'm very honest about my own self. I'm not pretending to be something I'm not. I can't. I literally can't pretend. I've tried.
That takes too much effort.
Oh my goodness. And I just fail. I'm just like, I was pretending. And I think just by being honest myself to be before I had my son, he's 12. So it was 12 years ago. I did present myself a little more in the pretty little thing box. I wasn't as honest. I did use more light to blur away my blemishes and my wrinkles, and I had a website back then, but only folks that fit into the what I call the pretty little thing box, which is sacred and beautiful. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's a very small box that no one benefits from. They were the only ones who would allow me to share their images online. And so it wasn't until I had my son, my body really changed. I'd realized I had lived most of my life with body dysmorphia, disordered eating, and self-hatred. And there I was, big as I'd ever been when I'd been petrified to be fat my whole life. And there I was with a new baby, didn't know how to take care of a newborn. Have this fat body that I'd been afraid of my whole life, like all of it coming to a head. And I took all of that to my studio and I just photographed it because I didn't know what else to do. I just photographed it and I shared it unfiltered, most vulnerable. I never would have shared something that insinuated that I was fat before. And I was like, here it is. Here it is. I don't know what to say, but here it is. I don't know how to heal this. I don't know how to feel safe, but here it is. This is how I'm going to start. And that's how it started.
Wow.
And just that moment, like, opened the floodgates because my email and my social media just erupted.
That's right.
And then everyone wanted not everyone, but I mean, hundreds, thousands of people wanted to come to my studio just by me being like, here it is.
Absolutely. Here's the raw, unfiltered version of who I am. And it's like the human being just craves. I mean, really, if you look at most suffering, it's that we're craving to be seen and heard and understood. And our bodies are only one part of that. It's almost as if what we really crave isn't about the body at all. It's actually just about the soul. Yeah. So to be able to start with the vulnerability of the body, I mean, I think that's a beautiful beginning. I mean, it's almost like you couldn't prevent yourself at that stage.
Yeah. Well, as a photographer, I'm in love with the human form. And that has
Mhm.
always been true. Even with my own body dysmorphia 12 years ago, I loved all bodies. I
Mm.
loved all bodies, especially bodies that I didn't see in mainstream media. And for a while, I thought I was a hypocrite because I loved photographing that, but I hated my own body. So what the heck is
Interesting.
wrong with me? And that took a lot of deep soul work, shadow work, integrating all of the things before I was like, oh, right. I just didn't feel safe in my body. And it's okay that I struggle more seeing my own beauty when I can see it so easily in others. I understand all of that now. But in regards to my books, just putting myself out there, being like, I don't have the answer, but I'm tired of hiding. So here I am.
Mm.
And that's how my first book, The Bodies of Mothers, came to be, which was super successful. I was on the BBC and the Today Show came to my studio. Was a whirlwind. And then I asked questions. And the way I did that book was that I crowdsourced it. It was funded by supporters. And it blew me away. I wanted to raise 20,000, ended up raising like close to 60,000 for that first book.
Yeah.
And I was just some
beautiful.
nobody in Tucson, Arizona, photographer. And then for my second book, The Crone Body, I did the same thing. I raised money so that I could self-publish. And yeah.
Well, I am honored to have supported you on the Crone Body book. And I remember seeing the post. Now this wasn't that easy. You had a lot of pushback from social media. You got kicked off like social media a lot because of the imagery. Isn't that right? I remember
All the time.
reading your posts. What was that like?
Oh my gosh. Well, back then I had more energy to be like, I was one of the people that helped get breastfeeding photos allowed without getting banned. But I usually get banned for my breastfeeding photos and I love the nude body. But, at this point, now that I'm older and I'm so tired. I don't have any more energy. I barely post my photos anymore online because I don't want to get banned. I don't want to lose my account. So I just kind of don't. And I just share my own story mostly online these days.
Hey guys, we interrupt this regularly scheduled caffeinated conversation to fuel your ongoing coffee addiction. I have the owner and CEO of Wilmington Coffee Roasters here with me, Travis Parmalu.
I'm so honored to not only be a Coffee with Nicoa guest, but also a new sponsor. I love coffee, so I founded Wilmington Coffee Roasters in 2020 to share it with the world. If you want the best coffee of your life, head right on over to wilmingtoncoffeeroasters.com. And if you still happen to be listening, be sure to use coupon code Coffee with Nicoa, all one word, for a nifty 10% off at checkout.
Thank you, Travis. And everybody, after you buy your coffee, don't forget to follow Wilmington Coffee Roasters on Facebook and Instagram. Now back to your regularly scheduled caffeinated conversation. Well, you share your own story very beautifully. And I love some of your pinned posts and historic posts where you're showing that self-love of your body. Can you share with our listeners, how did you begin to love yourself and overcome that feeling of lack of safety in your body?
Well, that was just it. I mean, I feel my story is that birthing my son, he's been the catalyst of all of my greatest healing. Mm. And that was when he was a newborn. My body's fatter than I've ever been. I'm sleep deprived. I didn't know up from down. And I had no energy to pretend anymore. And that was the beginning. I didn't even know I had a problem. I didn't know I'd lived most of my life with disordered eating. I didn't know that, my constant chasing of being thinner was killing my soul. Because what it really was, and I didn't know this at the time, it took me a long time to figure this out. The fear of not being thin, my body reads as a constant state of fight or flight. And I didn't know that. And so I was in a constant state of fight or flight, which made me sick all the time, which made me anxious all the time, which made me super depressed and all of the things. Even in the best of circumstances, it's hard to feel okay in this world. But with all of this chasing of thinness and this chasing of like, I'm not going to be okay unless I'm thin and pretty and desirable. I'm not going to be lovable unless I am like this. And so it took me a while to figure it out. I had to fake it till I make it. I definitely had to fake it till I make it in the beginning. But I knew that there was a time in my life. I remember being little, not being apologetic for who I was. I remember loving moving in this body and just like deeply settling into the magic of her rather than constantly picking her apart in search of safety. Am I okay? Am I okay? Am I okay? I hated comparing myself to other women. I was like, when did I learn to do this? When the heck did I learn to walk into a room and be like, am I prettier, uglier, fatter, or thinner than everyone in this room? I'm like, I fucking hate this.
I know.
No, I didn't. I was not born this way. I remember like being with my girlfriends and like, just love. It wasn't freaking picking each other apart and like, what is this hierarchy? Like, ugh, no thanks.
And we're brainwashed. I mean, I can totally relate. I had a historic experience with an eating disorder. I had a weight limit. I was a cheerleader and we had to weigh in. And if you missed weight, you missed the ability to cheer at the game. Goodness. And so I was taught how to not eat. I was told before the weigh-in, don't forget to go to the bathroom and then blow all of the air out of your body before you stand on the scale, Nicoa. I mean, talk about disordered. I mean, it was really fucked up.
So fucked up.
It was. And I mean, ultimately, I think the journey, and I'm sure you're still in the journey now. We're all in the journey of self-love and self-acceptance. But we are born enough. Our bodies are perfect as they are, whether they're big, small, whatever. I mean, it's really fucked up. I mean, I used to want to look like the waifs. I used to think, that girl that's, a heroin addict, she looks pretty hot. That's pretty fucked up. So you and I now are role modeling and teaching self-love. You even are a proclaimed self-love coach. How do you start with someone who has had the histories like you and I have had?
It's not easy, honey. It takes time and patience. That's the first thing I say is like, there's no easy fix. Especially those of us who've been chasing diets our whole life and thinking that once I look a certain way, I'll finally feel better. That story is really deep and those of us who have done that. And therefore it takes time and patience. It's like this, like this expansion. Okay, I feel better. Like I hate myself again. And so what I do is I hold people through 1 to 2 years is usually when I start to see a little, it doesn't go away necessarily, but a deep shift in the ability to hold that little girl self. I developed that when I was around 10 years old. She developed a way to be hoping that she'd be loved, hoping that she'd be valuable. Every adult around said, you got to lose weight in order to be accepted. Not exactly like that, but that is the interpretation I received. And so holding that part, like, oh, thank you for keeping me safe all this time. I got this now. I got this. It's okay.
You shared that even in your recent adulthood that someone told you that you needed to lose weight.
Oh, girl, people tell me all the time.
What the hell?
Because I'm so prolific online. People are the one they want to give me their piece. Yes. Yeah. It's great that you love your body, but I'm really worried you're going to die young because of your cholesterol and you're not healthy and not even asking what might, just all projection.
My God, they don't even know. Projection. That's really unbelievable. Well, how do you talk yourself or encourage your clients to talk themselves through those moments? Even when I think we continue to get triggered, right? We keep getting triggered until we heal it a little bit more. I'm curious, how do you hold their hand and hold them in that safe space during that? When it still keeps coming back.
It does. And the thing is, like, I've already been through it. So I recognize, I'm like, yeah, we're going to get triggered until we start, like, then one day we're going to realize that those things don't trigger us anymore. And there'll be a new trigger because that's the complexity of being human. Welcome to being human.
Welcome to being human.
But I am not triggered anymore when people comment on my fat or ask me if I'm pregnant for the 10th time in one day. And like, you know, all the things. Like, that used to really trigger me. It used to trigger me into self-destruction. And what I realized, I was giving my power away all the time. I'm like, I used to be like really into being like, why do people have to comment on bodies? Like, why do we have to comment on bodies? If we just stopped commenting on bodies. And I was like, girl, you are fighting the wrong fight. Like,
That's
people
right.
are going to do what they're going to do. So what do I want to do? People are going to keep commenting on your body, honey. So what would you like to do? Oh, do my own work. So when people ask me if I'm pregnant, I hear that as a love. Being pregnant was one of the best times of my life. Like, what a blessing to be asked that. And yeah, it is fucked up because there's a lot of women who wish they were pregnant or not, but there's yes, we should not comment on bodies. However, I don't foresee any time soon when people are going to just stop commenting on bodies.
I think you're right.
Now I'm just like, I feel safe. I used to be so triggered because I'd be so afraid that I wasn't safe. Am I fat? I don't belong. I'm not safe. Fight or flight, fight or flight, fight or flight. Now I know I'm safe. I'm safe if I'm fat. I'm safe if I'm thin. I'm safe if I look old. I'm safe if I look whatever way. I'm safe.
That's right.
I'm safe if I don't like how I look in the mirror. I can look in the mirror and be like, meh, still love me. Still feel safe. All okay.
Absolutely all okay. And part of that practice for me has been the mirror. You mentioned the mirror. Well, the mirror is a pretty powerful reflection. I mean, and everybody who's talking to us is also a reflection.
Yes.
They're reflecting either our own insecurity or they're reflecting what is possible for us, right?
That's right.
So if I can move away from compare despair and more of a, hey, why not me too? Right? Why? Oh, don't say me too. Okay. Why not me also? But the mirror really has been my friend. And I've decided that I'm going to continue to talk to myself in the mirror, show my body to myself. So you taking these photographs gave me a mirror to other regular, beautiful bodies. And I can even remember, and this is way TMI, but I can even remember being with my now ex-husband and saying to him, oh my God, look how beautiful our bodies look together. Look at that. And he's like, But for me, it was just art. And if we can begin to appreciate our bodies like that, like I know you do, I mean, you really gave me permission to embrace unique normalcy, right? Thank you.
It could be permission. And also the way I see it, because I do the same thing. I follow folks online that are the bodies I craved to see as a child. I was always like, where are those of us with pimples and rolls? And I didn't see that in my 17 magazine that I worshipped, like spirituality, whatever.
Same.
That's another story. But I love seeing other people feeling safe in their bodies that I thought weren't safe. And I like, that's part of the healing too, is the repetition. Oh, it's safe to be fat. Oh, you can be in love and fat. Oh, it's safe to be older. Oh, it's just constant, just like, oh, right, she's safe, so I must be safe. That's how I see it.
No, that's a beautiful way to see it. But most people see it like, oh my God, she's so fat, or oh my God, she looks so scrawny. And then they think, well, everyone else is judging me that way. And if I'm judging them, then they are judging me. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, the person you're judging doesn't hear you judge them. And you aren't hearing someone else judge you. Mm-hmm. And the bottom line is that's about you or that's about them. Their judgment of you is not about you. That's about them. Your judgment of that person is not about them. It's about you.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's something I work with a lot with my clients, because that judgment for a lot of us, especially those of us who've been judging ourselves for so long, it's very innate to judge others, not because we're assholes. I mean, I do my own shadow work. I am an asshole at times. I'm totally at peace with that. I'm also amazing, but we think that judgment is like, oh, I'm an evil person. Like, no, that judgment is a barometer of our safety. That's all. That's all. And once we start realizing that judgment can, right, And that's how I see it. When I see beautiful women like looking at you, honey, I'm just like, holy cow. I'm alive at the same time as this. This is also me. I think we're all interconnected. So whenever I see beauty, I'm like, oh, that is also me.
That's right.
Thank you.
Yes. That is also me.
That's also me.
Level 6 energy is all about being the, synergistic, and I am energy. I am you and you are me. And when we sit in that energetic viewpoint and frequency, then you can't help but love the other person.
Yeah.
And, I was going to ask you to talk a little bit about the word safety, to be safe. And I know that you had shared something very personal. And a lot of us probably do wonder, it's not just marketing that causes us to feel unsafe in our bodies. Would you feel comfortable talking a little bit about your upbringing when that beautiful little girl was playing and being free in Mexico and then all of a sudden was not?
I used to blame the media for not feeling good about my body too. And they are definitely, they capitalize on it. I feel like now the way I see it is like, oh, they're smart fuckers. Like they just, they see our wound and they're like, let's make money off of it.
That's right.
But the wound was already existing. So, my personal wound, one of them that, and now as a 45-year-old woman, I'm so grateful for, not in the way that it happened to me, no, but what I've learned from it and the empathy I've developed and I feel like one of my superpowers that I'm still cultivating is forgiveness. And so all of these things stemmed from, I grew up in a small village in Mexico. It's called Yalapa. And back in 1980, there was no cars. There was no electricity. There's still no cars. They do have electricity. You have to get there by boat. It was paradise. And there was only a handful of gringos, of American folks. And we lived in this open air palapa, which is a thatched roof hut, basically. Wow. And my mom was a fabulous cook. She's from the Midwest, so she'd be making like meatloaf in the jungle in Mexico. And we only had like a cooler. We didn't have a refrigerator. And and my mom and my stepdad were musicians and they're always playing. That's one of the reasons they moved to Mexico, is that they started playing jazz at a club in the city, which we also lived in the weekends. It's called Puerto Vallarta. It's a very touristy place, Puerto Vallarta. So they would play music. We'd go back to Yalapa during the weekday. I'd go to school. I was one of two American children going to school there. It was fabulous. Walking everywhere. Like after school, you play in the riverbed until the last little bits of, light are still in the air. And then you walk home stumbling because it's so dark. And it was heaven. And I didn't even I tell my mom this all the time, like, Mom, thank you for moving there. Cause I'm not sure I would have made it through childhood without that incredible, peaceful upbringing. Because when we go to Vallarta, to the city, my nervous system would get so dysregulated. I couldn't wait to get back to Yalapa and walk barefoot on the trail and swim in the ocean. And so all this was happening. And one of the few other expats that lived there was an elder, and my mom took really good care of him. He was like, I think he paid her to get him groceries in the city and to, do his errands. He had emphysema. He couldn't really walk much, but he had the only refrigerator in all of the village. And so he had cold Coca-Colas and he had Snicker bars and Milky Way bars, and he would offer them to me. And we never ate out. My mom, my stepdad, we were very food insecure. We had very little money. That's another reason they moved to Mexico, is we could live on $1,000 a year back then. It was so affordable. We had nothing. Buying me a Snicker bars was not a thing, maybe for Christmas. So here's this older man offering me the jewels of childhood, sugar. And my mom would leave me with him because she had to go do gigs sometimes late at night and she needed a babysitter. And she left me with him. And he started sexually abusing me from the get-go. It was very confusing though. I didn't even know what he was doing. I didn't even know I had a cavity in my body that way. I had no idea. I was like, what is happening here? And then he would do many horrible things and promise me not to tell my mom, and then give me the most incredible gifts of soda and Snicker bars, and he'd cook for me, and he'd treat me like a princess, and then he'd do horrible things at night. And this confused me for a while. I didn't even know what was happening. I was like, what is this? I know it doesn't feel good, but I'm not sure what's happening here.
Yeah. How old were you?
It started around 7 years old. I went on for years before I finally figured out that it was not okay.
Yeah.
This was not good. And he would do other horrible things in front of me that just would make me ugh. And so it was shitty, but it was also like, I also love that he gifted me so many things.
Naturally,
that's children.
That's the way that it works.
No one else gave me those things in my whole life.
Yeah.
And so it was so bizarre, and like I loved it, but I fucking hated it. And as I got older, I realized, right. Actually, those gifts are not worth it. And I asked my mom to stop sending me there. And so I started staying with other friends when she had to go to gigs, which was every weekend. This was a regular every weekend deal.
Yeah, that was their work. Yeah.
So.
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm proud of you for finally saying, please don't send me there. Yeah. I'm curious, were you comfortable enough to tell your mother what was happening?
After a few years, because that started around when I was 7. I think I finally said something when I was like 10. I did. I brought it up. And unfortunately, my mom wasn't able to hear me because now, and at the time I didn't know, but now I know. She was so desperate for help. You know, my mom could barely afford the bills, and I know that he helped her, and she couldn't see it, you know?
Yeah.
And at the time it was heartbreaking. And I just closed up. I feel like that moment, I can still see it clear as day. The moment I told her, I know right where we were sitting. I remember the sound of the birds and her just saying, "Oh, Jade, you're just making that up," or something like that. I don't remember exactly what she said, but basically like, stop it. Don't make that shit up. And I closed. I just remember like, so many things. I think that's all when the like not feeling safe in my body. Who do I tell that will believe me? Maybe I am making up. Maybe I am, because I was also a very sensual little girl. I loved cuddling. My stepdad, thank goodness, he was such a sweet soul. He let me cuddle and kiss his neck, and he had such great boundaries.
Right?
To not think I was flirting with him as a 7-year-old. I just loved cuddling and kissing and like, you know, just.
Of course. And that's what we're raised that way, to be loved and cuddled and kissed as babies, and to then have someone violate that, especially when you're so naturally, authentically open and sensual, then wait a minute, it must have been very confusing. Of course you would have felt unsafe in the long run. I'm so sorry that happened to you. But you said forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
How did you get there?
Yeah, it took a while. So then I moved to the States to go to high school because my dad always lived here in Tucson. So I moved back for high school, and my dad, I told him the story in my teenage years, and he put me in therapy because he's such a precious, he's got his stuff too, but he did put me in therapy, and that was the beginning. And then therapy did help, but then I eventually found this. I moved to Taos, New Mexico after high school to go to massage school and to live. And I became friends with this shaman woman, and she really helped me. She brought me in, and at the time I was breaking out with boils all over my skin, and I was having a hard time talking. It was like a lot of like, and I went to her and told her
chakra.
And she helped me. She did stuff on the table, and then we also talked, and she was the one that helped me because I was so mad at my mom, but I also loved my mom. So it was like so conflicting, and I didn't want to see her. I didn't go visit her for years. But she helped me. That was the beginning of like, hey, you got this. We can do reparenting. We can go back, and slowly starting to realize that I don't need to blame my mom. She did hurt me. She didn't mean to.
Yeah.
But she did. And that's okay. Like, I can forgive that. And no one's ever going to do that to me again. And furthermore, no one will ever do something like that to my baby boy.
That's right. That is exactly right.
And that's been so healing too, to like raise this boy and just like, it's like,
Yes.
no one will touch you in a way that you do not approve of.
And you broke that cycle of connection with your child and the next generation. I mean, forgiveness is a tricky one for a lot of people. But I think the most important thing is that you were able to go in, and you said the word reparent, because as we get older, we're our best parent.
Yeah.
Right? And we can rewrite that story and have a dialogue with our parent or whoever hurt us, whether it's a real dialogue with them or not. You can rewrite it.
Exactly.
And that's kind of the work I do too in hypnotherapy. Exactly. I do this rapid transformational therapy, and we go back and say, you know what? I'm no longer 7 years old. I'm no longer 10 years old. No one will ever hurt me like that again. No one will ever cross my boundaries, because I'm a grown woman and I can say no, and I can walk away, and I can use my voice, and I'm worthy and deserving of safety.
Yeah. And I really do believe in multidimensionality, because for a long time, I wish my mom would because I haven't spoken it with her. I tried once, like in my early 20s, and she was very resistant. So I just shut it down. And I was just like, why? I want to have this conversation. I want to be heard by my mom, you know?
Yeah.
And then I realized that's not going to happen. She's not able to for some reason. I'm pretty sure my mom was pretty severely sexually abused, and she will never speak of it. My sister also was. Like, we come from this lineage of silence and just bearing the abuse. And at least that's how I feel in my lineage. But what was so cool, when I started doing some plant medicine, I did some ayahuasca like 4 years ago, and I was able to go back to that moment on the bed with the birds. I'm in front of my mom's little vanity that she brought all the way from the US, all the way to Yalapa, like it didn't break. We're sitting right in front of it. And I brought my current self, Sequoia's mom, to that moment. I said, tell me what he's doing to you. And I told my little girl told me, and I was like, come here, baby girl. No one will ever touch you again. And I'm going to go let him know that he is not welcome in our family. I will protect you. And I did this whole, like, my mom was sitting right there too. She's not the villain. She's doing her very best to stay alive on her mom, but like, we fucking got this.
Yeah.
And that
I'm
was
so
like,
proud of you. Oh,
that was huge. That was huge for me personally.
Huge. I'm so glad you shared that story, because everybody listening, this is the reparenting. So there is a scene in my history where my mother said that she was going to go get a switch and she was going to spank me. And I don't have any memory of the actual spanking, but I have the memory of where I would hide when she would say this.
Oh.
And it's in this spot. And I live in the house I was raised in. That spot is no longer there. I renovated. That spot's missing now. But I remember that spot, and I did similar work. I didn't have the uniqueness of the ayahuasca, but I might still do that one day. But in that scene, I went back and sat down next to that younger version of me, and I would have been under the age of 8. So 5, 6, 7, 8. And I remember that little version of me saying, fuck, I keep hiding in the same space. Like, I didn't know where else to hide. And so she could always find me. So I'm always in the same spot. So I was like, why do I keep hiding in the same spot? But in the reparenting work, I went into a meditative state, and then I simply cross-legged next to her as the adult that I am now, and I put her in my lap, and I was like, hey, you don't have to hide anymore. You don't have to hide. It's okay to be you. And in my history, it was a lack of speaking truth. It was a lack of voice, and it was realizing it's okay to be me fully, and I don't have to hide. And whatever it was I was in trouble for, it must have been something around Nicoa being too much. And so again, that version of me now goes back and loves on that child just like you did. And everybody, you can do it right now. You can close your eyes and rewrite that story from an adult speaking to that child.
I love thinking about like that moment too. how I looked. I was so little. I didn't know at the time I was so little, but now I know I was so little. Like, oh, and my hair and eyes and dirty fingernails and dirty feet because I was always barefoot and like, oh, precious girl. Oh, I'm so sorry this has happened to you. You know, just like feeling her little body and my, it's just like, it's so precious to be able to do that and to like be able to transcend, like go back in time and like all these dimensions exist in my opinion. And,
yes, I agree.
We can go back and she feels safe now. She feels okay. We're okay with mom. Like I'm okay. I kind of feel like my mom's parent right now, and I'm okay with that. I feel I'm pretty sure her mom was never a good mom. She was an angry woman for various good reasons. I understand, but I know my mom never had a sweet, compassionate mom. That's my story.
Well,
I love being sweet and tender with her, and reparenting her. I want to reparent.
Absolutely. You and I are definitely mirroring, as you may or may not know that I am currently the caregiver for my 84-year-old mother. Oh. And my mother's mother was, we think, abused and or treated terribly by her older sisters. And my sweet mom would come down the stairs in the morning and walk through the kitchen swinging doors back in the 1950s, smile on her face, and her mother would look at her and say, "What are you so happy about?" and whack her upside the head. I mean, can you imagine? And my mother said to me a while back that, I don't know, I know you don't really have that relationship with your mom, but she said to me, "I hope you will forgive me for anything I did." And I said, "Mom, I want to thank you for breaking the cycle. This poor 84, she just said this in the last 6 months. I said, "Mom, there is nothing to forgive. I want to thank you for breaking the cycle. You didn't beat me upside the head when I was happy. I mean, you might have threatened the switching, clearly, but I don't know. I've kind of given up on whatever memory that was." I was like, oh, this is the work, you know? This is the work. I think we're supposed to go through all of this. I don't think this is, I pulled the short straw or I'm unlucky. I think this is literally what we signed up for. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I often think this about being in a larger body in a culture that praises such thinness. I'm like, I feel like I was supposed to be in a bigger body in this lifetime because I have a lot to say about it. And I actually love photographing it. Learning how to feel safe and put myself out there so that other women get to consider their own safety in whatever body they might have. And in that regard, yes. And as far as the sexual abuse, like, oh gosh, it's tricky to say, like, did I sign up for that? I don't know, but I definitely signed up for this beautiful way that I feel. Even my grandmother, she was not kind to me, but she, now I can see, I'm like, oh, she too, I can now recognize she has some sort of, there's something there, and she was during the Depression. We come from immense food insecurity and poverty, just like we can trace the the holding of the breath and not enoughness for so long.
And you validated that. Yeah. I mean, you have to be able to look at that lineage and that story and say, no wonder I feel this way.
No wonder.
Anyone in this situation would have these sensory experiences and feelings and self-judgment. So I think that's a missing step for a lot of people, giving themselves a break for having these thoughts.
Exactly. I like to say that actually because yes, it is hard work to do, but often people are like, why is it so hard? I'm like, I know. I think I honestly believe within myself, at least my own journey, it is because we do inherit these stories in our molecular, I don't know if it's a molecular level, but in our bodies, cellular, like we inherit this not enoughness. I'm not safe. And look at women. I mean, women had to look a certain way just to be married, just to make sure they had a home for them and their children. They couldn't even have a bank account. My grandma couldn't even have her own bank account. Like, her not enoughness was so deep.
50 years ago this year was when women got the right in the United States of America to get a credit card.
There you go. My grandma had to depend on she had abusive husbands. She had to depend on abusive men to be able to survive. So of course she was mean. Like, girl,
what you
right.
want.
Girl has a right to be mean. Doesn't mean, I forgive her. And no more.
No more.
No more.
No
but
more.
I love, like, when I'm out naked in the desert taking videos, and she was very Christian as well. So I could just see her, like, in real life. If she were alive, she'd be like, but in spirit, I know she's like, yes, honey, yes.
That's
yes.
right. Yes, baby. She's up there loving on you, and she is there supporting you and guiding you through this beautiful life experience. A lot has changed in a very short period of time. We as women need to celebrate and stop. I mean, we need to vote accordingly, but we also need to celebrate and make sure that we are embracing who we are and how far we've come. I have 2 daughters, and they know. I make it really clear. This is a privilege. Your opportunity here is to make a difference and embrace and embody your whole self. I mean, we've really given them some freedom. Talk to me a little bit about your relationship with your son and how that's going as a mother, and what are some of those examples where you've leveraged your learning and your knowing to help him live a more fulfilling life?
I never knew if I was going to be a mom. I always was like, am I too selfish? Am I too self-absorbed? I don't know. And then he came. He's actually, I don't know exactly how I conceived this child. He's truly a miracle. I was with a partner at the time, but we had broken up, but we were business partners. And then I found out I was pregnant. I was like, okay, here we go. But I hope it's a daughter, because I don't know what to do with no boys. I was like, I couldn't wait to the moment I could go get a sonogram to see what the sex was, because I was positive she was a girl. And it was like, you're having a son. I was like, oh, fuck. Okay. Time for some healing right away. He's my little medicine man, like I had so much trauma around men. And like, I was like, okay, there's more work to do. There's more work I get to do here. And birthing him and having a son I didn't know. I couldn't even predicted the gift that he'd be, and still is.
Yes.
I love him so much.
I love you for loving him. Our men today need mothers like you.
I know, I want 10 more sons. I'm like, damn it, I don't have a uterus anymore, but I want 10 more sons. Maybe I need to start fostering. I need to start fostering children, because I love these boys. And I see, like, he's so tender, but he's also like into swords and fighting, but he loves cuddling and kissing. He rubs my back out of nowhere. He'll just come up and be like, start rubbing my back. And he's in a bigger body. His body is very similar to mine when I was his age, and than it is now. And he has such confidence. He has such confidence and like such peace. He's like, yeah, it's my body. I'm strong. He's like, some kids tell me I'm fat. That's all right. I know I'm strong.
Good
like,
for
I'm
him.
Tall and we talk so much about other people's opinions and talking about bodies. Because again, I was so worried in the beginning when he was younger, like, oh, kids are going to comment on his body. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Yes, kids are going to comment on his body. So how can we approach it?
Yes.
And so that's the work that we do of like, folks are going to say what they're going to say. What do we want to believe about our precious bodies?
That's it. What do I want to believe? Yeah. What do we choose to believe?
Yes.
Because, as I joke, you're the common denominator to this whole life, right? It's your life. It's your life by design. It's your son's life. And how can he embody his own truth and literally embody it?
Embody it fully. And I just told him on Friday when I was driving him home from school, I was like, I just love your confidence. I couldn't imagine being your age with the confidence that you have. It's so beautiful. I'm so proud of you. And how do you feel about your confidence? And we have a lot of conversations like that. And also,
what did he say?
This confidence. He was like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
He's just so like,
good for him.
But it's I also really, because I'm really right now into shadow work and really holding tender the parts of myself that I've rejected, my jealous parts, my envious parts, my petty parts, all these parts that I'm just like, I'm not that. I'm like, well, actually, yes, there are parts of me that are like that, and they don't dominate. And so I love talking with him too about making mistakes. And like, we don't have to be freaking perfect. It's not like I'm always confident. Like sometimes we're not confident. That's also okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're allowed to be this multidimensional way of feeling,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard days. Sometimes being human is hard, and other days it's really easy and fun and everything in between. And I really just because he loves win games and winning, so that's where I get to work with him of like, it's also, failing is part of life as well. It fucking sucks. No one likes to fail.
Right.
And
I love that so much because, energy and motion, the emotions, they all have value. Every emotion is trying to message us. It's like a messaging system.
Yes,
and
it is. It's a messaging system. Exactly.
It is. If you can listen to it, what is this? I'm all upset. What is this trying to tell me? If you can have that conversation, then you are truly empowered. I spent a lot of time trying to get my kids to stay happy. I had very little time with them working in the corporate world. I was gone a lot. They had a stay-at-home dad. And so when I was home, I wanted it to be perfect and fun and happy. And
Absolutely.
What do you mean you're going to be in a bad mood right now? You're ruining it. That's what I remember thinking. You're ruining it. And I don't think I said that out loud, but they certainly must have felt my energy. And I think in the lineage, I would look back and say, oh, that's because when one person in the family of 5 I grew up in got upset, it ruined it. It ruined it. So I was always trying to make sure it didn't get ruined by keeping everybody happy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I'm still working that shadow work too. I mean, this divorce I'm going through, I had to say, my friends say it a lot. Well, Nicoa, that's human. That's normal the way you're feeling. You don't have to get over it yet.
Right.
And I'm like,
right. Exactly, honey.
Okay, yeah, I'm still upset. I'm happy, but I'm still upset. And you can hold both, right? I mean, you talk about these different levels of dimensions, and you can hold both sets of emotions together. I don't know if you play with that.
Oh, honey. Yeah. But you literally are talking my favorite thing right now. Like, that's all I'm about. I'm holding the multitudes, holding it all. I used to think like, had to be one way or the other way. It's like, no, actually today I do have some grief, but I also have so much gratitude. I also have a little bit of annoyance. I also am so happy. All of it. I actually can hold it all. And some bubble up more than others. And I love shadow work because when I sense myself get snappy, specifically with my husband, bless him. He's the one that he ignites my shadow real easy. But I'm so proud because now I'm able to whoa, I want to punch him. What the fuck is that? I get to do my own inventory within, and he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know because I know okay, what is it?
I think you really nailed it because I think the best way that we can heal and grow is in relationship.
Same.
And whether you're with someone intimately or it's just the relationship with you and the cashier, right? Or you and that one person at work. Yeah. The relationships are showing up for you in order to trigger you, in order to cause you to say, oh, wow, why do I feel that way? Honestly, I am most grateful for John. And although we are not together and I'm choosing not to continue that relationship, I think he showed up for me exactly the way he was supposed to. We clearly had some sort of soul contract. He would not see this.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't understand. But for me, I'm so grateful. Exactly. I grieve, but I'm grateful to your point.
Yeah. Grieve and grateful. Yeah. Right now I'm struggling with my co-parent. We've had a beautiful co-parenting for many years, and there was some miscommunication, some missed opportunities, and I have a lot of anger, which is mine. And I'm still working on that. And simultaneously, I'm so grateful for him and his partner. I actually love them both. And I'm also really fucking angry at both of them right now. Like both are true. And I don't want to hurt anyone with my anger. I don't. But it is information, and I'm still trying to figure out what exactly it is. And I do my breath work, and I go for my walks, and like, but I love it because like the other day we had a conversation. I was so angry, but I didn't give it to anybody. I took it to my hill and I walked with nothing, no audio, just walking with my dog. And I was so petty. I was like, man, fuck them. Me. I just allowed myself to be a petty little bitch. Yeah. And by like 45 minutes into it, I was like, oh, and I'm so grateful for them.
Yeah.
I don't have to be best friends with them. I don't have to be best friends with them right now. That's okay.
No.
I'm really grateful for them. Holding the multitudes.
That's right. I mean, that's a beautiful way. We have to go through it to get to the other side. And I used to just try to avoid it. I would just try to redirect, totally. deflect. And I've learned more in the last, 5 years about going through the emotion of it and doing root cause analysis. Why am I feeling this way? Mm. What am I making? My favorite question. What am I making this mean? I love that question. I think that question changed my life. I really do. Mm-hmm. This work is so beautiful.
It is.
Some people might say it's privileged work, but I disagree. I think we can do this work. If you can observe yourself, you can do it no matter your circumstance. Mm-hmm. Now, some people might be distracted, obviously, by primary needs. But I can tell you something. Those of us who have been privileged in one moment, we can have primary needs right damn quick in the next. And I speak from experience. Mm-hmm. And even in those moments of terror, when we don't have what we need, our basic needs can't be met in that moment. Mm-hmm. We can still do the work. And that's where safety comes back. I really love that. Do I feel safe? Can I create safety? And have you ever heard of this concept called the havening practice?
No.
It's where you take your hands and you do what the mother of a baby would do. Rub your arms, hold yourself.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called havening. And I had not learned of it until this summer. And I do that now. I'm like, you know what? I am safe. I am safe. I love me. I love my sweet little self. I love my 55-year-old self. Right? And I think if people can remember to give themselves some compassion and love and touch, I find it not surprising that you went into massage therapy. You needed safety.
I did.
And massage therapy gives people lots of safety. It feels like, I can be touched and loved in a safe way. Yep. This is not a threatening way. And you were able to do that for others. Yep. I wonder, are you now able to really do that for yourself?
Absolutely. My mom is, despite all the things, that she had very little money, she would get me body work. She would get me massages as, I think I started when I was around 12. And he was my original inspiration for massage. His name is Greg. He still lives in Mexico. Also an expat. Beautiful man. He was I was like, you can make people feel this way? I want to do it too. This is amazing. Safe touch where I feel so held and safe and no one's going to hurt me or do something, put their fingers in places I didn't even know I had in my body.
All right.
So yeah, massage was, she got me so much. And she also got me acupuncture. She also took me to curanderas in Mexico. Like, my mom is an amazing woman as well. Wow. But yes, what I do for myself, I didn't know this technique you just said, but what I do a lot is hold my face. Oh, I love holding my face. And of course the heart is very normal, but like, especially, and sometimes I like to imagine crone me, like, 90-year-old wrinkly hand crone me holding my face when I'm like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, oh, honey.
Oh, sweetie.
It's okay. No, I know. So the last 3 months, I've barely been meeting my survival needs the last 3 months, and I've been doing healing work. So yes, it can coexist. Yes. I was having a hard time buying groceries back in June and July. And
that's so weird. So was I. I had to accept generosity from friends.
Me too. And people step up and help me. Yeah.
Same. And I think people listening to this podcast, hearing me say that, will be shocked. Yeah. But
same with me.
Yeah. You and I mean, yeah, we are so mirroring right now, but the learning how to receive.
Yes.
Holy moly.
Yep.
Talk about setting your pride aside.
Yep.
I mean, I would only say no like twice, and then I'd say, okay, thank you. Okay. Because I didn't know what else to do.
And how beautiful we've cultivated a community that like that, you know, it's like, damn, I surround myself with amazing people.
Yeah, we did. And you know, what we've done is we're attracting them in a vibration as we've become more balanced in our masculine and feminine energies too. I think we're able to be in a space that we vibrate higher. I mean, also making choices. You made some big life decisions this summer. You decided to sell the van. You decided to sell your house. You ultimately took responsibility for your circumstances. Said, well, I got to fucking do something different. So what the fuck am I going to do? And you did it. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't end up selling my van, FYI. I kept her.
Oh, you did not? Oh. Did you get to keep it? I really love your van.
I kept my van, but I did sell my house. And to be honest, at first it was a little scary, but then I was like, oh, wait, actually, I have been wanting to do this for a while. And this is it. This is the opportunity for the next. I've been wanting to downsize. I've been wanting to simplify. One of the reasons I've been struggling is I own a home all by myself. And I'm married, but we don't live together. And maintaining this home by myself, I went a little gung-ho. I got solar panels and I knew all these things. I wanted to make this home like so green. And I was like, oh, all these people give me credit. Let's do it. So I incurred a lot of credit making this home fabulous and not knowing really what I was doing. And then realizing, oh shit, this is too much. And I made a really beautiful home now that I can sell to someone who has the savings account to take care of this house, who can pay for what she needs. And I found this incredible potter artist woman. Who's buying this house. And I built a yurt, which is my art studio, and she's going to make that into her pottery studio. And I get to go more into nature and simplify. And I could keep this house if I wanted to really hustle and work more. I don't.
That's right. My brother said there's two things. You can either work harder and make more money, or you can simplify and have less things you got to pay for.
And I know, like, you know, I could also learn how to work differently. I don't have to work so hard. Yeah.
I agree.
But here's the thing for my personal story is I require a lot of stillness. I require a lot of just doing of nothing. And I used to feel really ashamed about that. I'm kind of slow. And I feel so grateful that I was able to do what I did here. And I racked up the debt, but this house is a little gem that I get to deliver to this precious woman. And now I get to go do something that really is going to support me in my best way. And I can slow down and not feel guilty and not feel like I have to hustle to pay my bills.
You do not.
And soften into my art and soften into more motherhood. And
I think that's beautiful. I think we would all benefit from slowing down. I had a client last week that I invited to, when we hung up, I said that you're going to go get a coffee, or you're going to go to the bathroom, or you're going to get up and walk away from your desk when we hang up, most likely. And I said, what I'd invite you to do is walk 50% slower than you typically would. And he was like, wow, that's going to be difficult. And I said, that's why I'm inviting you to do it. So everybody listening, where do you find your stillness, your softness, your gentleness, your tenderness? I think that's a missing priority in our society. Yeah. And I'm grateful that you brought that up. We could do a whole hour just on that.
It's tricky. And I'm grateful because I've had really fun success. But to maintain that success requires, at least just for me, I'm only speaking for myself, requires that I have to do things that don't feel good to my nervous system, that don't feel good to my personal makeup. It did when I was younger. When I was in my 30s, it worked. And now to do this means I don't post as much as I did. I don't do as much things that bring me success. And that was a hard thing to contend with. See, seen my numbers not grow on Instagram. I'm not growing a following anymore. I'm not, it's like I don't get as much attention as I did 5 years ago on social media, and all the success that I worked so hard for, I see it slipping away, and it's like, it feels scary. And then I'm like, oh, no, honey, but that's what we need right now. That's just right now. Who knows what will happen in the future? Right. But right now, I do need to let go of that. I do.
I think you're ahead of the game for a lot of people. I've been inviting myself to find what is the path of least resistance, right? Because if it's not fun and it doesn't feel good, then why am I doing it, right? If I'm not getting kind of this full body yes on posting on social media or working on the website, when it feels good, it feels good. But if it doesn't feel good, I push way back now and start questioning that. And like you said, this is what I need right now. Mm-hmm. And that is moving forward in faith, not fear. Mm-hmm. And whatever that faith is for you, it doesn't matter. Faith in yourself, faith in the universe, faith in a God, whatever you want to call it. But if we can continue to step into a space of ease and faith, guess what? Everything that you're supposed to have will come to you much more quickly, probably. Yeah.
Things that we can't even imagine, because I get giddy. I give my keys to the new owner here on November 8th, and I get my keys on November 8th. So November 8th is like so exciting, right around the corner. And I think, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because my bills are reducing by 2/3. Like the spaciousness that I'm going to have is like, what's going to happen? I mean, I could write that memoir I've been wanting to write. And it's not that I want to be productive. It's just like my artistic self, which is so innate in me. It's so innate. She's like, oh my gosh, we're going to have time to do, like to explore that why I love photography in the first place, why I even got into like my deep love for art and creating art. She's going to have the space to return again, because we don't have to worry about paying the bills. And that's just my story, though. I don't want anyone to think that that's the story. That's just my story.
Of course. And that's what these interviews are about. They're your stories, the kind of life you don't need a vacation from. And guess what? You're just now designing it in a way that you don't need to desperately escape it.
Right.
And that's it. It's creativity. Everyone, you are creators. And if you're not creating the space, giving yourself permission to take the space to create, it could be creating how you interact in the boardroom. It could be creating how you interact in your artistic studio. It doesn't matter what you're creating.
Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't.
But you are the creator. Yes. And remove what no longer serves you. So
it's challenging, because success and Instagram followers and all those things are so like dopamine. It's like, yes, that's what I want. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. But if I'm chasing that, where's my spaciousness to like allow that creativity in with more gentleness and juiciness?
And I would ask you this, and then of course we have to go. but I would ask you, when you were blooming with the photography work and those 2 books, did you have more space then? Did you have less burden or perceived burden during that time frame?
No.
Or it was just a different energy?
I think it was a different energy. I feel like I thought that was just how it was. Like when I look at my calendar from like before COVID specifically, I was like, how did I do that?
Oh yeah. I don't know how I did it. I don't know. Today, if I have more than 2 appointments, I'm like, oh my God, when am I going to have a nap? Jesus.
I think my hustle, like I just thought that's what I had to do. And I was able to keep it going, but from a very fight or flight place. Like I was on high blood pressure medication. I was on antidepressants. I was like barely like keeping it together. I really hated myself, like, and the thing is, like, I love that version. I was like, I'm so proud of her. I'm so proud. And I got really great success. Like it was a beautiful season.
But the definition of success according to fucking who?
According to who?
And so now we get to say, Okay, in this season of my life, success looks like having a nap every day.
Yes.
This is my life by design, right?
Cleaning less.
Success.
Success looks like cleaning. I have this huge property that I have. Success
looks like a cleaning lady. Thank you, Linda.
Or a cleaning lady. Yes, honey. We love you. We love you.
I've only been able to have her come once since John and I split. But when she came, I was like, honey, you stay as long as you need. I will find the money. I will find the money.
We are finding the money for your angelic presence here.
One time in 7 months. Oh my God. But let me tell you, and I'm much better at cleaning my own house again. But I look forward to the day. Not only will I have her back, but I will also have my regular massages again.
Yes, honey.
That was preventative.
Yes.
That was really healthy.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what? It's okay. And even if I never have her again, or I never have those massages, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm actually not attached to that, but I know it can be possible if that's what I want.
Yes,
that's
honey.
what I choose.
Yes, honey.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
I'm so proud
honored
of you.
that you would. Oh, thank you. Love Fest. Yay. How can people find you? And if they want to hire you as a self-love coach, I highly recommend you. If they want to go to Tucson and get photos taken or have you come to them.
Come out to the desert. Especially, this is our time of the year. We start to shine in the desert. Everyone gets cold, but we're like out here naked in the desert. Like, this is the time to come get naked photos in the desert.
Where can they search you, find you, and connect with you?
You can find me pretty much at jadebeall.com, and everything is linked there. And that's Beall, like be all you can be, Beall.
That's right. 2 L's. I messed that up first time I tagged you. I know. I'm sorry. You are beautiful. Your body is art. The quote by you, my sweet friend. I take your words with me as I move through my life. I want you to know you've made a difference in millions of people's lives. I took your book to a retreat that I held back in the spring, and I could not get it away from my guests. They were passing it around. They were overwhelmed. There was one woman who took it and was so uncomfortable. She couldn't, it was difficult for her to even look at it.
That's very normal.
I held space for her in that moment, but I was glad because you are prompting us to see the world differently, and you are showing us the world through your lens, and you're showing us ourselves through your lens. And I am forever grateful, and I will always be one of your biggest fans. And I thank you, Jade.
Aww, thank you. Thank you, Nicoa.
I love you, and I look forward to speaking to you again. Let's set a date a year from now.
A year from
so
now.
we can see how your life by design.
Yes.
I can't wait because we could talk forever. Thank you, my dear.
Thanks for joining us for a caffeinated conversation. Subscribe to Coffee with Nicoa for more stories from people living a life by design. You can also find inspiration on Instagram. Just follow Coffee with Nicoa. And check out our website, coffeewithnicoa.com. And that's Nicoa, Nicoa. We look forward to talking with you soon, and enjoy your coffee between now and then.
Guess what, y'all? I published a book. Your Life by Design, a Coffee with Nicoa self-care coaching journal, is now available on Amazon. This interactive journal begins and ends with powerful queries, guiding you on a quest for the kind of life by design you don't need a vacation from. I've included an in-depth look at strategic self-care to empower you and hold you accountable to really getting to know your true self. It's time to prioritize you. Use the link in the show notes to buy yours today.